Once, before the stars forgot how to whisper to the sea, and before maps carved borders where none belonged, there lived two peoples, the giants and the humans. The giants were ancient, born of earth and wind, carved from stone and spirit. They moved with the patience of mountains, spoke in deep tones that echoed like thunder, and dreamed in centuries. They did not build cities. They shaped the land itself. When a giant wept, rivers flowed. When they laughed, trees grew tall and wild. Humans, on the other hand, were small but swift. Their lives burned fast and bright like candle flames. They built fires in caves, then towers in valleys, then kingdoms on cliffs. They made things, words, weapons, music, machines, and filled the silence of the world with their voices. At first, the two peoples lived apart but not in conflict. The giants stayed in the high mountains and deep forests, and the humans in the lowlands and plains. But every so often, when the world tilted just right and the stars aligned with the hush of the moon, a bridge appeared. No one knew who made it. It stretched across the clouds like a silver ribbon, with no end in sight, wide enough for the largest feet, strong enough for the oldest magic. It's like a veil that connected their worlds. And for some time, they met there, shared songs and traded stories. Some say the first flower ever picked from a field was tucked behind a giant's ear by a human child. Some say the very first lullaby was sung by a giant to calm a frightened village baby, high above a thunderstorm. But nothing gold stays long. One day, a prince went missing. A human prince, young and wild, beloved by many. His horse was found near the edge of the cliffs, hoofprints vanishing into the mist. There was no body or trail. Everybody became afraid. Fear makes monsters out of shadows. Fear made the humans blame the giants. They called them thieves, liars, murderers. But the giants swore they knew nothing of the boy. The humans didn't care to listen. This issue caused a serious war between them. It was a long war. The sky turned red, the bridge cracked, and in grief and agony, the giants vanished into the mists of their realm. The humans, still broken and bitter about what happened, sealed away all knowledge of the bridge. They wrote new maps and burned the old stories. And soon, children were told that giants were just fairy tales, too big, too kind, too strange to be real. But there was a kid who knew that there are more to these tales. His name was Eli. Eli was 12 when he first heard the story. His grandmother whispered it to him on a rainy night, long after the lamps were out and the thunder rumbled over Winterroot Hills. While the other children in the village trained to hunt, to trade, to fight, Eli read and wandered around. He climbed trees to feel the wind. He also traced old carvings in the rocks behind the well. All this made him believe in the impossible. The other kids laughed at him. They said he's wasting his time, but Eli didn't care. He knew and believed in his heart that the bridge will return. And one night, it did. The moon that rose was not silver, but deep blue, the color of sorrow, or maybe magic. The mist crawled low across the fields, thick and soft like breath. The wind carried a song that had no words. Eli quickly followed it, through the wheat, past the stone fences. Beyond the orchard no one visited anymore. And there, wrapped in moonlight and fog, it stood still. The forgotten bridge, the one everyone said was a lie. It's wide as a barn roof, smooth as glass and covered in ivy that shimmered like stars. Eli's heart pounded faster than usual. He gasped for breath. For the first time in his life, he experienced fear. But something in his bones said, "Go." And so, he put himself together. Barefoot and brave, he stepped onto the path between worlds. What lay beyond was like walking into a dream the earth forgot. The sky was deep violet, speckled with floating lights. Trees towered, but not in menace. Their leaves rustled with welcome. Flowers blinked open at his passing. A breeze touched his face like a curious hand. And then, someone appeared. She stood by a waterfall that glowed silver in the dark. She's taller than the tallest man Eli had ever seen. Not monstrous, but magnificent. She wore a tunic made of woven moss and threads of moonlight. Her skin was dark stone dusted with blue freckles. Her hair fell like rivers, braided with beads that glowed faintly. And her eyes were large, green, and startled. "You're human," she said. Eli's voice barely worked. "You're real," he said. "You're real." She blinked in agreement to his question. Then she smiled and said, "So are you." Her name was Nara. She was 13 in giant years, which made her almost 50 in human time, though she didn't act it. She was curious, stubborn, soft-voiced, and often lonely. Her people hadn't spoken to a human in centuries, and even mentioning the bridge was forbidden in her world. But Nara had always felt it, just like Eli. That something was missing. That something once beautiful had been torn apart. So when she saw him, she didn't run. It's like they both expected this someday. They sat there, talked and talked for hours. She taught him to whistle with leaves that grew only near the singing cliffs. He showed her how to write his name in the dirt. She giggled at the way letters curved. She showed him how to call fire with a hum. He gave her a tiny carved bird from his pocket. They were different in every way that didn't matter. But the world, cruel and loud, always finds a way to break what is soft and rare. One evening, Eli returned to the bridge and found it shaking. The mists were rising earlier. The wind no longer sang. He crossed, heart tight, and Nara was waiting. Her face was pale and her lips trembling. "They know," she said. "Who?" Eli asked. "My people. The elders. They followed me. They smelled your scent in the trees." Eli's mouth went dry. "I'll go with you," he said quickly. "We'll run. We'll find somewhere else. Anywhere." But Nara shook her head. "There is no place where both our shadows can fall," she whispered. "Your world would fear me. Mine would exile you." The bridge began to fade beneath their feet, stone crumbling softly like old bread. They both stood in silence. Then, wordlessly, Nara reached into her satchel and pulled out a stone, glowing faintly, carved with the same markings as the bridge. She pressed it into Eli's hand. "When the world is ready again," she said, "this will remember." Eli gave her his carved bird in return. It looked small in her palm, but she held it like it was gold. They didn't hug or cry, they just looked. And then the bridge was gone. Eli woke the next morning on the edge of the wheat fields. No one believed him, of course. They said he got lost. They said he dreamed it. But he kept the stone. And every blue moon, he would return to that place and wait. He grew older, taller and quieter. He became a teacher and then a storyteller. And on the last day of his life, when the mist rolled thick and the moon turned blue one final time, a little girl, not unlike himself, found his journal. It was hidden in a box beneath the floorboards. It told the story of her and Nana. It showed the stone she gave him. And when she followed the fog through the orchard, no one visited anymore. The bridge was there again, waiting. Because some things, no matter how long forgotten, always remembers love. And that is the story of the bridge between worlds, where two hearts met between fear and legend, and left behind a path for others to follow.
If you enjoyed the story you watched, please check out my channel. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more.